People come up to me that played many years in the NHL and won 4 and 5 Stanley Cups, and they said they would give up a Stanley Cup ring to have a Memorial Cup ring. And that speaks volumes to what people actually think about Major Junior and the fact that the Memorial Cup is such a special trophy to a lot of people. I was playing sea hockey in the middle of Alberta in a place called Castor. There was a scout from the Kamloops Blazers that took a handheld video of me and sent it to Bob Brown, who was the general manager of the Blazers at the time. And I scored 5 points or 6 points in the game, I believe. But that wasn't about the points. I got knocked down about 25 times in the game, and I kept getting back up and going back for more. So they ended up putting me on a protected list with the Blazers, and I showed up a couple years later and made the team. I was just playing hockey. I was just enjoying the game. Our small little hometown of 25 people, it's a remote place, let's put it that way. And I didn't really even think about it. The NHL to me, it was something that was like a fantasy on TV, and I watched it every Saturday night with my dad. And so I never even thought about doing something like playing junior hockey in Kamloops. So to get the opportunity to do that was kind of like a dream and a whirlwind. And I ended up playing the following year at the Kamloops International Bantam tournament, and we actually went to a Blazers game. So that was kind of my first, foray into watching Major Junior or Junior at any level. The only high-level hockey that I'd watched at that point was my dad's senior men's team back home. I think when we watched the Blazers play that spring in Kamloops when we were at the tournament, they had talked about it, and it was like on the rink boards or what have you, or there was some discussion about the Memorial Cup, and I had no clue what it meant, or you just kind of find out it's a national championship and you play for it, and if you win it, you get the trophy and away you go. So leading up to that year in playing in Kamloops, I didn't really have a lot of knowledge of the Memorial Cup, but it soon became something that I was very aware of. I think the first thing you want to do when you go there, I was not one of the higher picks or drafted guys or anything of that nature. I was just kind of a guy. So I show up at training camp, and I'm like, what do I have to do here to make this hockey club? And they're like, just play a role. Just go out there and play physical and play hard, and we'll see what happens. So I did all the things that they asked me to do, and I think they wanted to send me back to play maybe Tier 2 in Alberta. But I wouldn't really take no for an answer. I'm like, I don't care how many games I play this year. I just want to learn. I want to get better, and I want to be a part of this organization. So they ended up keeping me around, and kind of the rest is history from that standpoint. I think I played 26 games that year in the regular season, 9 in the playoffs, and 3 Memorial Cup games, and played in the final. So I was fortunate enough to be on the bench when we actually did win the game, and it was kind of a special moment with 14.6 seconds left to win that Memorial Cup. Yeah, they kind of sandwiched in the middle of the first one and then the next two. And I think they won theirs in the Sioux. I think it was at home for them as well, like we won our last one in Kamloops. We actually knew a couple of years previous to actually hosting it. And the fact that we'd won the year before, we kind of knew something special was going on with our team. We had a lot of draft picks from the team that won the previous year. So we went into that year as the #1 team in the CHL and the favorites to win the Memorial Cup, and while hosting it. So our goal was to make sure that we didn't back into the Memorial Cup, that we actually won the league that year. We played Brandon in the final, who had McCabe and Wade Redden and a cast of characters that went on to play pro. So it was two pretty good teams going at it. And for us to win the league and actually win it in 6 games at home was just as a special feeling as winning the Memorial Cup when we did end up winning it. It was very similar to put it into context for people to understand. It was very similar to what Winnipeg's like in the playoffs. The sea of white, the whole building was just rocking. And my favorite or special moment of winning that Memorial Cup was after we won it, skating around the rink with it, and we had a box of alumni there that had played a number of years in Kamloops previous to the Memorial Cup teams, that all those guys felt just as part of it as we did winning the Memorial Cup. They had been to Memorial Cups and come up short a little bit, but for them to see them up there and see the smiles on their faces was pretty special to us. We had a great coach. I think, anytime you talk about winning championships, you have to have good leadership. We had great leadership from the top on down with Bob Brown and Don Hay. I think those those two gentlemen not only were mentors and guided us as young individuals and players, but they were kind of like father figures to us. They kind of went through the trials and tribulations of year one. If you're talking about the guys that won the 3 Memorial Cups, 16-year-old boys coming in, winning a Memorial Cup, not understanding what we'd actually done, to walking out of there with 3 Memorial Cups. It takes great leadership, and those two gentlemen were a huge part of our success as players. And then you look at the group of players that we had. We didn't just have good hockey players; we had good people. Shane Doan and Jerome McGinley are probably the two people that you look at when you say what is a prototypical hockey player, but just as good a person off the ice. We grew up together. When you look at the group of players, whether it was the first year learning from guys like Sador and Niedermeyer and Zach Boyer, to being the veterans and the guys that were kind of leading the way for the next group of young players that were going to play in Kamloops, we grew up. Like you go there as a young boy and not kind of understanding what life's all about, to moving away from home is not easy, and those guys become your family. And when you have a young group of players playing together and you're kind of like a family, it adds for some fun along the way, but also you're going to go through some ups and downs. So you're going to pick each other up when things are going tough, whether it be at school, you're having problems with your home life, being homesick and away from home, or you got to have people around you that pick you up, and we had a lot of good people like that in the organization. I joke around with people. I did all my winning before I got to the National Hockey League. That's why I couldn't win a Stanley Cup. I did all my fortuitous winning in junior, and I feel very fortunate. I had people come up to me that played many years in the NHL and won 4 or 5 Stanley Cups, and they said that they would give up a Stanley Cup ring to have a Memorial Cup ring, and that speaks volumes to what people actually think about Major Junior and the fact that the Memorial Cup is such a special trophy to a lot of people. So I cherish it. I've got a trophy at home that shows that we'd won the 3 Memorial Cups, and it's something that sits in my office on my desk that nobody can take that away from you. Once you've won something and won a championship and you've got your name engraved on there, it's there for life. It's one that's most likely most of the time unspoken. I talk to the boys maybe once or twice a year in certain years, but it's like we'd never missed a beat. It's like walking back in the room when you're 19 or 20 years old and saying, "Hey boys, what's up? How's it going?" And we're 40 some odd years old, most of us now. So it's a bond that you share. It can't be taken away from you. And just the guidance that I had from Don Hay. The biggest takeaway that I have from Junior is the relationship that I built with Don. I wouldn't be the player I had been in the National Hockey League without him. I probably wouldn't be the man I am today, and I definitely wouldn't be the father that I am without his guidance. Just the fact that pure elation. You play so hard all year long to do something in the game that's special, and to win the 3rd Memorial Cup. We were pretty proud of ourselves, especially the 3 guys that had done it together. We'd went through a lot together, whether it be school, ups and downs, girlfriends come and go, things of that nature. We just all kind of built a bond that we all are going to share for the rest of our lives. So it was a special moment in that time when we saw the clock ticking down. We were fortunate that we had such a big lead. We didn't have to. There was no stress in those, so we could actually kind of exhale and enjoy the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game and kind of look at each other and say, wow, we actually did this 3 times. This is amazing. I don't know if this will ever be broken, this record, from a standpoint of somebody else, especially winning it with the same team. I don't think that'll ever in 100 years that the Memorial Cup's been played for, or over 100 years now. It's happened once that somebody's done it with the same team, and there's 3 of us together that did it. And I'm so glad that I actually got to spend that time with them in Kamloops, but share that moment with them at the end.